at the new Pocky and Rocky game. So this is the first footage from the sequel to the classic. Well, actually, Swinny, it's not really the sequel, right? Because there was a Pocky and Rocky 2 from memory.
So, well, it's sequel to the
Trequel.
series. Sequel to the series.
Oh, okay.
Is it a spiritual reboot?
Yeah, I guess it is, right?
So it's interesting. This is a very Natsume episode because this is a
I
Natsume
know.
game. So who would have thought?
Well, do you want to take this away, Swinny? Because I never was a fan of Pocky and Rocky on the SNES.
So I liked Pocky and Rocky, but I never beat it because just for whatever reason. I only played it on emulation, unfortunately. It's just never a game that just came across my path as a kid in physical form. But originally it was a Taito arcade release in, I put in my notes, 1968. That's meant to be 1986.
Okay.
And then, yeah, no,
I was like, wow, this is got a long history.
great.
Rewriting gaming history.
Looks great for a pre-Space Invaders game. So later got 92 SNES release, which is probably the most well-known one, and it's known as KiKi KaiKai in Japan, the series. So it's
a cool name.
It's a top-down like co-op scrolling shooter, so in the style of like Commando or Jackal. And basically, there's two playable characters. So this is the SNES one. We don't know the full details of the new one, but so Pocky, which is basically like a Shrine Maiden, and Rocky the Racoon. And it's always been a game that I've loved the visual style of ever since I was a kid. I remember seeing
it looks really cool. Yeah,
I remember seeing this game in the magazines and just being like, oh man, Pocky and Rocky, this looks great. And then when I finally got to play it via emulation, I really really like it. And the game had two sequels. So it had Pocky and Rocky 2 years later on the SNES in 94. And then it also got a Game Boy Advance game, which I didn't know much about.
Oh, I never knew that. Called
Pocky and Rocky with Becky. And I think Becky's a ghost in 2001. And I think it was released in the US.
Playable character?
I would assume so, but I don't know. And
I just find that so funny that you're like, I need to know if it's a playable character or not.
And it came out in 2002 in the US. So the new game is called Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, and it's very much a faithful...
Reshrined, I like that.
Yeah, very faithful adaptation of the original visual style. Like, if you were to look at it initially, like, wait, this just looks like Pocky and Rocky on the SNES, but then you kind of look at the SNES version, like, okay, no, clearly this looks a bit nicer, but it's very similar. It's very cool sprite artwork. And this was announced in September last year, but this was the first teaser trailer and footage we got to see of it. So it's due in Q4 this year on PlayStation 4 and Switch. So quite a while to go for the game, but I'm just think about it, like, it's wild that Pocky Rocky is getting a sequel to me. This is outside of the Game Boy Advance game. I think if this is a game that's just like, this was a SNES era game, and how often do you just get like SNES games getting random sequels? You know, it's really cool. I love it.
But I mean, if it was a solid game back then, give us a sequel, right? There's no, it's a solid IP.
But it just doesn't happen.
No reason not to do it.
You know, it just doesn't happen.
But I mean, when you say solid IP, I mean,
should be happening.
You know, I'm a SNES fan. I think that's proven by I'm wearing the SNES T-shirt. I didn't even remember that I was wearing it. Rocky and Pocky. I mean, is there a lot of love for this series?
Pocky and Rocky. Thank you very much.
Pocky and Rocky.
Don't mix it up. You cross the streams.
And Becky.
PR, exactly. Yeah, don't cross the stream.
Don't forget about
I don't know.
Becky.
I just don't really hear much about this series. I'm just kind of surprised that.
Well, that's why I wanted to highlight it, because it's just it's a game that I've always had a real fondness for, and I just love the fact that they're making a new game.
No, I think that's really cool. Like, it'd be interesting to check it out. Maybe Mike can do a review of it for Vox.
Yeah, maybe I can be the Natsume bloody reviewer. Although after the review I'm about to give a certain game they recently made, I don't know.
I'll always say that I think the bad reviews or the reviewing bad games is the most valuable thing to the community.
It probably actually is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right, let's move on to better things. New Amiibo